Hey, wait a minute. What happened?
This network isn't bad at all because this network will be letting me down. Oh, sorry. Hi.
Hey, how are
How are
you?
you? I'm good, thanks. How's it going?
I'm good. Like, yeah, you're at work.
No, I'm actually off work today. I had a couple of things to do. So like you know how things get busy towards the end of the year. I've just had a lot to juggle. So
That's okay.
yeah,
That's okay.
how's
Nice
things
to
going?
have you here. Nice to have you
Oh, thank you
here.
for having me.
Okay, well, shall we start? Would you like to start by introducing yourself? I mean, your followers know you, but I also have some people who don't know you,
Yeah.
perhaps.
So my name is My name is Michaelina Chindia, and I pretty much work as a private wealth manager. So it's basically a financial advisor. I provide financial advice to high net worth individuals in Zimbabwe, abroad.
Oh,
Um, and I've had about 5 years working in the industry. So yeah, and apart from that, I am a fitness enthusiast. So
we
yeah,
know.
yeah, I love to work out.
That's good. That's good. I feel like yesterday when I put out the poster to tell people that you're
Yeah.
going to be going back with me, the feedback was so positive. Apparently, you
Really,
are
I don't
a
look forward
household
to
favorite.
it.
A lot of people seem to like it because people were reposting. I was thinking, huh, you guys don't repost my stuff in the past. Like, generally,
Really?
you guys don't. But yesterday was a bit
Okay.
overwhelming. People were happy. So,
Oh
yes,
wow, good.
people were
I'm,
really happy and excited to
it's the festive season,
be
so
into
people want to hear about that because they're really doing what they're doing with their money. So
I
it's not.
think that's the case, but I also think people like you, the person that you are. So, well, we get to have a bit of Brit today. We get to have you and your professional capacity as well, right?
Awesome. I'm excited. So I can't
Great.
wait.
Okay, so I think oh my days, I haven't put out the many matters. What should we call this? Many matters over the holiday.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, any plans for Christmas? Any plans for Christmas as yet?
With everything happening, I might just not, I had so much that I wanted to do, but because of all the uncertainty, I just feel as though I should just scrap it and wait till Easter and just stay at home and save money.
Definitely would be safer, to be honest. And I like how you just jumped into it. You're like, okay, I would want to
What
do it. So,
the guy spending recklessly, don't remind me about what I said today.
okay, so my first question is just women tend to have spending triggers. I don't know if everyone here knows what a spending trigger, but I think you can explain that for them, and then go on to just answer, how best women can approach the festive season. Do we approach the festive season with oh my gosh, it's a spending spree, or oh my days, I think I need to be a bit thrifty with my money? So how best can women approach the festive season with their spending triggers in
Yeah.
mind?
Now, the thing is, spending money can be so much fun for us as women, and sometimes we end up attaching emotions to the, you know, it could be a negative or a positive emotion. And at the end of the day, it does have its consequences. And we all end up making purchases we regret sometimes. I'm sure if you look somewhere in their house, there's something that you're going to see and think, I really didn't need that, and I regret purchasing it. It's probably been sitting there for a year or so untouched because we spent necessarily. So, as women, we need to then, if we're going to get through the festive season, we need to be, first of all, identify what those spending triggers are. Like I said, they could be positive, they could be negative.
Yeah.
So women will spend because they're happy and they're celebrating. I made it through the year. Let me spoil myself. So it could be something, just something to celebrate that triggers that. Sometimes it could be, they say jealousy, but it's not necessarily the word. It's just trying to keep up with your peers.
Keeping
Sometimes,
up with the
and
Joneses.
against that. Like I hate it. I'm one of those people that really would say like I don't don't succumb to the pressure. You know, just because A, B, and C are doing it and they can pay for it, you don't try and keep up with them. I guess it's like keeping up with the because you don't know what people do. You don't know what other streams of income they have. You don't know what they're doing to actually get that money. So essentially, at the end of the day, you need to focus on you staying in your financial and not being triggered by, so and so buying hair from this place. You can be triggered by me saying, "Oh my gosh, guys, look at this new wig I got," and I'm totally
For the gram.
maybe it's even like it's all free hair. I've got 6 new.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. Because I feel like someone could be out here thinking, I want to compete with Michelina, and they don't actually realize, like she got this as part of PR, So that is definitely, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Keeping up with
Yeah. And sometimes it could even be guilt, when you fail, you treat yourself to make yourself feel better, So there's so many things behind our triggers, and it's up to us as women to, first of all, identify what those emotional triggers are, because all the triggers are emotional. It's a reaction to something. And once you figure out what your triggers are, you can kind of limit the amount of exposure you have to these triggers. So for example, I know a friend who's always ordering from PLT almost every other 2 weeks, and it's because she has the app on her phone. So as a woman, you can then just say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to delete the app. I'm going to log out and I'm going to delete the app and not go back there maybe until January, so that you can get through the month. Because it's situations where you just do stuff spontaneously. They already have your card details. It's just a matter of just putting in your basket, checking out, and charging it to your card sometimes. So the apps, because in that, you might then want to buy something in the future, but that process of downloading the app, logging in again, starting from scratch, is a bit tedious, and in that process, you might
tedious but worth it. It's tedious but very much worth it. Because if you're gonna save money, hey, delete that app. Delete it.
And something that you could also do is just keeping your card at home when you go out. Sometimes I guess people don't swipe as much in Zim. It's all eco cash and mobile money. But maybe sometimes make sure that you left the money in another account or something like that. You're going out with a certain cash, so that when you get to a certain point and you spend the money, that's it. You go home, or maybe someone else spend it. It's not coming out of your pocket. I found that to be very helpful. I cash, so if I go out, I'll go amount of cash once. But there are always people that bumping into people that will buy you stuff like that. That's not on you. And once you've learned to manage triggers, you can also then just so you could set a holiday, limit on how much you plan that December, and you just have to be realistic about your budget, and even think about your gifting. This year I said to myself, my friends are gonna have to understand. I can't be gifting.
Same here. I was just looking at my Christmas presents, saving this, and I just thought to myself, hey, people, this year I try to make it because I have no money for this. They just have to understand.
You just have to have that conversation with yourself, and then just accept that you can't buy gifts for everyone. So you put it down to the people that really, really matter, or maybe friends or brothers and sisters. Then you have to cut everyone out. But it's all about just having like an honest conversation with yourself about how much you actually have, and just being honest about finances. Because a lot of the time we just kind of put it aside and just act like it's not. Were then broke, 3 weeks into December, and you have nothing.
Then you realize,
yeah.
I actually try. I like how you just spoke about being honest with yourself, because at the heart of money matters is honesty with yourself. And so my next question just comes from that. It's something to do with budgeting.
Okay.
I know, just daily in our day-to-day life, we do work around with budgets. Well, I'm assuming people tuning into this actually, make use of budgets, because that's just the best way to manage your finances, telling your money where to go before you actually spend it. So I know we do it throughout the year, but I mean, it's the festive season. Can I not spend a bit more? Do I really need a budget? Can I just go with the
Yeah.
flow? Or must I have a budget? Do I need a budget?
You need a budget for almost every, yeah, you need a budget for every single month of the year. And it's actually even more essential to budget leading up to the festive season so that when you get into the festive season, you can enjoy it within the festive season budget as well. Because you have budgeted to have money for December, and now you have to stay in that December budget, which means you need to keep on going back. A budget is very, very essential. It's pretty much like a plan for every dollar that you
Yeah.
and it's important, yeah, it's important because it helps you in more in control of your finances. It's good for a lot of women because you, in a way, have a little bit of financial freedom because you're just in control of what. And the trick is just figuring out a way to practice. So a lot of people end up having a template, um, and following that through. And then it's not magic; it's not that hard. And it just requires a lot
Oh,
of
it
work.
is that hard. It is that hard.
It
It
is
really is that hard.
on paper. It's hard. That's not the hard part, but I've noticed like a lot of people don't do it. I'll sit down with certain clients. Okay, how much do you actually have every month put away for this? And they'll say, yeah, I earn this much, I have this much left. Like, okay, that's what you think you have. And then I say, let's sit down and go through a budget that I have already. I have a template, and I go through expenses. And a lot of the time, people are shocked because they didn't even realize that they were spending money, and they weren't realizing that they didn't have much left.
Yeah.
Especially if you have multiple streams, or especially everyone has a side hustle. The money coming in at the end of the month, it could be consistently basis on a daily basis that day. So it's a lot. It needs a lot of discipline on our part to actually keep tabs on what we're spending, especially with the same situation. Like I'm saying, a lot of people running their own businesses. There are a lot of SMEs out there. You're pretty much open, and not always follows, what comes in is accounted for today, and it's going to be.
I think that was my biggest mistake.
Yeah, because people
With
then
my
just
business as well. I realized that I was making money, but my first business quickly because I was not actually, going through and saying how much was coming in and how much I was spending. For me, it was, hey, the money's coming in, so I can spend as much as I want to spend. And so I like to eat. So eating out, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of money, and you just don't realize it until you put it down and say, I'm eating all this,
Exactly. So it's very essential. And at the end of the day, a budget isn't about how much you make because people think, oh, I must be earning a lot of money before I start a budget. But it's about what you do with what you have. And proper budgeting over the long term will actually allow you to have things like manageable debt. And it will give you room to indulge comfortably. If you budget for it and you budget for indulging, months down the line, you can spoil yourself in December and know that it's planned for, you've prepared for it, and it's not going to ruin your January. And it's good for you in terms of just preventing you from actually getting into debt, because you find yourself getting into January owing money or really struggling in January because you didn't budget properly in December. And now you've gone beyond it and it's too late, the money's gone. And you're pretty much stuck and you have to deal with that. Because budgets will actually stop a lot of people from getting into debt. But people don't.
That's so true. Because you know how much you're bringing in, you know how much you're racking in. So because you've put it down on paper, you know how much you can spend. So you understand, I don't have the money for this. So you can't spend money which you don't have. And just now that you've spoken about debt, I'm going to look for the question that had something to do with debt. I know it's in the different. Yeah, but let me just go for it. It says, after the festive season, I'll be low on cash. So how can I look forward to a new year with positivity? But should I really be in debt? Should I really suffer January disease? Do I really? Because I just checked the calendar. We have 5 weekends in January. 5 weekends.
I saw 5 Mondays too.
Yes. So
Yeah.
my question would be, do we really need to have January issues with money or January disease? Do we have
Yeah.
to suffer from that? Or can this be prevented,
Well, you can prevent it, but I feel like we get into a position where you're now suffering financially in January. You deserve it, and you must go through it until the next payday because not true, but go through it. You're paying for your actions, so maybe the next December you'll know not to do it. Because the thing is, if you're starting your year in debt, the moment you're already struggling, the moment that paycheck comes in end of February, it's going to go out. And essentially, you're going to get into February in debt. And then you're going to borrow again. So try and survive the next month because the salary from January is going to take you through February. But essentially, if you're already owing someone by the end of January, you're going to pretty much stay in a continuous cycle of debt up until Christmas again. And then probably have an even worse January the following year. And my simple rule about debt is that if it increases your net worth or has future value, it's good debt. So for me, I would literally only look at something like a mortgage. I wouldn't even I would consider, even with cars, I try and avoid it, but at least,
Cars
abroad,
are a bad investment. If you can't
the
pay
moment
cash, don't do it.
on that definition, it's a liability. It's just going to
Yeah, it
depreciate.
is. And I feel like, especially with us Black people, we have this, not all
Oh,
Black people, but just people. I think as human beings, we have this mentality. We have this mentality of buying big cars, which we actually can't afford to keep up with, because
yeah,
it's one thing to buy a car. I feel like the upkeep is even more expensive if you're constantly paying for servicing. And you
yeah,
don't need to wait until the car's off the road. It's constantly putting money into it. But if you're not
yeah.
financially geared for it, then
Be in trouble.
yeah.
Yeah, there'll be like, you buy a car and then you have something happening unexpectedly, like you have an
Mm-hmm.
accident, and then you find out that, geez, it costs a lot to fix the dent on a nice car like this, or to get it back on the road, And then if
Mm-hmm.
I had a Honda Fit, I'd probably be able to fix it cheap, quick, fast.
Quickly.
I could maintain that. So sometimes
Mm-hmm.
unnecessarily buy things we can't afford. So like with cars, I don't really encourage it, especially here. But I guess what sometimes you guys have financing for things like cars that are, and the payment amounts are low and manageable. I'm like,
No, so
yeah,
I still would advise against it. Like if you're going to pay way more than you need to be paying after 2 years, why do it? Wait, save up until you have cash and pay cash. It's
exactly.
just always better. Now that we're onto this debt thing, now that we're talking about debt, I'd like to know, is like the festive season. Let's say I am this young woman and my boyfriend's family is flying in and I have to impress them. Would I consider this kind of debt? Should I consider getting into debt as something worth it? Is debt accumulation over the festive season worth it? I mean, it only happens once a year, so
I
it's just
generally just, I advise against. It's not necessary. Again, it's just yourself and what you have. Because you're gonna have a bad start to the year. And like I said, if it's not a mortgage that you're getting, you're working towards an asset that's, a good future value. That's a good debt. Like, but I mean, even with the mortgage, you always have to even look at the T's and C's on the interest rates, what you're paying back, because not every mortgage is favorable to you as an aspiring homeowner. So I don't encourage debt for anything except for, like, a house or certain situations. I know a lot of people these days get into debt like education, but I mean, just to impress family and people who are coming through, I would rather just stay at home.
So if
Just,
they come, I should just let them come and not show them what the Makwesi can do. I,
you
I
know,
I need to show them what the Makwesi can do. Show them, hey, I've got your bag. Yeah, you can come through. I've got you.
your parents into doing it out of their pocket and you don't owe them a thing or something like that where they can take care of it. At least, I don't know, or you can find ways of treating them without then really killing your pocket. Sometimes you can throw it down, bro, invite them to your house, cook what's in the kitchen, cook an over the top meal, but at least that's something that's more manageable than really going into there trying to take them to, I don't know, if it falls or Kariba and show a good time. Then just stay within your lane because you also end up creating expectations that you might not be. Yeah.
That's a conversation for another day. I don't want to get into that one. It's too heavy.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
No, I hear you.
Okay. So my next question is, okay, this is just for the woman or for the person who has just started trying to figure out their own finances. Someone once said to me, I can't make a budget because I make too little. And I thought that was a bit like, you need a budget when you make too little. You need a budget when you make a lot. You need a budget every single time. But for the
Yeah.
purposes of the people who just don't want to hear it from me and want to hear it from an expert, how can I keep my finances in check if if I'm just starting off, and worse still, if I have some black tax being forced onto me? Because I don't think we should call it black tax. I have an issue with calling it black tax because, I mean, every single person has responsibilities, whether you're Asian or black or whether you're African or European. You still have,
Yeah.
family
Well, if
things that
you've
are
never,
expected of you. But I feel like
it
with
tends to happen.
us black people, we just kind of overdo it. Like, no, I don't need a pension fund. My kid's gonna do it.
The thing is, I think it's also just because
So
they'll come in and be like, oh yeah, I got about $200,000 to invest, and he's like 28, 30, and you're like, where'd you get it? Oh, I inherited it. And just to like living their own life, they've even worked and make something of themselves. But with us, I think because parents or the generation before really thinks that they had to work hard for something, so do we. But that's not how we create or begin the process of generational wealth. But anyway, like, question about someone just getting started. This is a simple rule that we follow: 30-20 rule. So 50% of what you earn should go to like immediate needs. So that's food, necessities, lights on at the house. I mean, getting your nails done is not. You're gonna have to. Again, it's being honest with yourself and
brand image, though. Like, what if I work off my brand image? Those are a necessity. Okay.
So it depends on what's necessity for you, what you definitely need and can't do without. But most of the time, it's the basics: the food, the electricity, the water, your transport and getting to work, things like that. And then you can then spend 30% on the things that you want. So 50%, 30% for your wants, your hair, your nails, the things that you like, and then 20% can go to your savings, or if you're in debt, you can put that 20% to paying off the debt. Or sometimes you 10 to debt and 10 to savings. And it's a pretty popular rule for budgeting. And it's pretty basic and straightforward. And again, it just requires you to be honest with yourself. Yeah, but that's what I would say for people who are starting off. And you can just use the envelope system, just putting money.
Yes, I highly recommend that one. I actually use little papers because I feel like,
Yeah.
I mean, envelopes are a good idea, but I just haven't really consciously bought them. So I make little papers and just put my money inside there, and then put the money into separate bank accounts so that I know, hey, once it's in this account, I can't touch it. So
Yeah.
yes. Just quickly, I know this is kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Accounts that you can actually get with banks that don't have cards. So you just
Mhm.
the money. So if you wanted to spend it, you can't really just as you can. So you can also, it'll help you save and fight off those impulses that happen in the moment. Yeah.
Mhm. And just quickly on that one, now that you've mentioned the percentages, because there's certain people who live in, okay, I'm not trying to get personal with anybody, I'm just saying, I know that you might be earning $1,000 per month, and then you're staying in an apartment that costs $1,500 per month, and then you're bankrolling it with debt. In a situation like that, where I'm trying to, I think it kind of goes back to being honest with yourself. But in a situation like that, if I'm staying in an apartment which takes 125% of my 100% income, how can I, step out of that and start, going back to 50% for the basics and my rentals in there and 30% for my wants? Because that's a drastic change. So as a financial advisor, what would your advice be?
So I would say it takes you back to a budget actually. which, like I said, is a plan for your money. So sometimes you might not always have to cut down so drastically. If you actually then sit down, list what you're spending money on, and then look at how you can cut back from each area. So it's things that are just as simple as electricity. You can cut down your bill by bucks, or how much you spend on fuel by taking a shorter route. You know, I will sit down with my clients who are spending more actually for it, and then we list down what are they spending money on, and then we look at each aspect of things, like of their spending, and find out how we can cut down, because essentially it will end up actually adding up. So then in that way, if you can also cut back in other areas, it might then just result in you also maybe moving areas, but not drastically moving to a place that's $200 a month. You can then cut down on things like memberships or subscriptions necessarily use.
Subscriptions. Oh my gosh.
Take money and you don't even use them, and then I had a client who literally had $200 leaving their account every month for apps that they didn't even know, they didn't know. And also because her kids would just sign up for all these things without her knowing. It was seeing that $200. They were buying all these editing apps and
even for music, we spend so much on Apple Music and Spotify, like it seems like a very trivial amount each month, but when you add it up just like the whole year, you realize what?
And some of these apps actually, like once off, they can take the annual amount, and then the whole $60 that goes out. So yeah, I would say, sit down, look at and then try and just see how you can cut down in each area. So when you're not making changes in terms of where you're staying, it's not too drastic of a difference, because you've kind of mitigated the effect, or blow, by down in other areas. I mean, I had a client who started doing things like they did all these. They said that they used a lot more fuel when they drove during peak time traffic, and because they were already going to the gym, they just then decided to work into the evenings and then try roads were empty, and just little things like that, and just taking shorter routes, and you can just cut down, like, so they wanted to cut down on their spending on things like fuel, what electricity at home, how much water you use, and just being mindful of certain things, and just being more conscious.
Is my spending habits were normally food. I realized, hey, I'm spending this much on food, and it seems like such a trivial amount every time you go out, but when you actually look at it, because one man said to me, I don't eat out, and I just thought, this guy is so weird. Like, who does not eat out? And I was so upset. I'm like, how dare you tell me you don't eat out? What's that? And then when I took a look, because then he mentioned that I should take a look at how much I spent on eating out, and so I did it to prove a point, but I was just like,
yeah. So it could then mean, let's say you spend $20-$30 on eating out, and then maybe that money could actually go towards, buying certain groceries. You sit down, you make a meal plan, you'll make nice food at home, and you can use that $30 to actually make you food for one whole week, or 2 weeks. And in a week where you might eat out 3 times and spend $25 each time, you're spending $30 at the start of the week, and that's pretty much lasting you for a week to 2 weeks. So it helps you cut down in that way. And again, it's all about planning. It's all about planning.
Right. And I'm just thinking about it now. Let's just say there's people in people who are going to watch this later, or people who are watching now, who might think, okay, would it be a good idea to get a portfolio of shares for someone as a Christmas present? Would this be something you'd advise for a person, like, to gift someone who has no understanding about financial management, to just motivate them? Can we, instead of buying things that they just use right now and forget about, can we switch to, buying sustainable gifts that actually bring in more income later on, investments of some sort?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that would definitely make a good gift to your loved one, and I think it actually shows that you care, because you're purchasing something that will benefit them in the medium to long term. And even if they don't know how to do that or how to invest, that's why you have various stockbrokers. So even if it's locally on the ZSE or on the VIX stock exchange, they could then just go to a broker and they could then get assistance in terms of how to get started or what counters to invest in or what to, keep an eye out for. Or you can even then buy them a book to accompany it on how to invest. But the good thing also about there's a lot of information, especially even in terms of investing. The Securities Exchange Commission of Zoom has been putting out a lot of content in terms of trying to educate the market on how. So even if you're like a novice, you can literally go there, and it talks you through step by step, like investing 101, like investing for dummies. So
I think we need to talk after this. I think I'll need to find you after this so we can talk. Eh? But anyway, someone else in the comment section talked about something we had talked about already. They said something along the lines of not spending too much over Christmas. They said, let's also talk about buying people gifts for Christmas. They didn't really say much in it, so I'm not so sure if they wanted to, go the route of don't spend too much. But anyway, if anyone else has a question, let us know. The expert is here to listen to you and answer the questions.
Yeah.
From my end, really, I'm just grateful that we had this conversation, honestly. I mean, for me, there's no pressure because, hey, like, I'm not going to be spending money on Christmas this year, so...
Meals at like 5-star restaurants or something. See you eating.
You know what I realized? I realized with me, if I buy a cup of coffee, I spend $5. So if you spend $5 every day, by the end of the week, you save $25. Buy the coffee, make the coffee at home. So I realized this is cheaper.
Yeah.
I think it's the small things. Okay, she just responded.
They add up. And just to touch on what you were saying on black tax, I think you also like just manage that because it really is a thing, especially in the economy that we have. A lot of people lost money in generation. They had their savings out in 2008 and they were never able to bounce back. So they're also now in a position where they are somewhat financially reliant on the young people. I don't blame them.
Yes.
But sometimes you also need to have this healthy boundaries with your family by learning to say no and then just having open conversations about your money. Try not disclose everything, but also disclose your dream and your expenses will help them to just understand what you can and what you cannot afford so that they don't put that pressure on you. And then I also think it then helps to just empower you and your family. Also teach them how to budget.
Yes, because I remember I was talking about money.
Yeah.
I was talking about money. The other day I put something out on my social media. My cousin said, give me the money and then teach me how to budget. And I told them, no, if I give you the money first, the money that I don't have anyway, if I give you the money and you don't know how to manage the money, it just makes no sense. Okay, so she responded. She said, I meant let's not try to go out of our budget trying to impress people with gifts.
Yeah. And social media does that to us a lot. I feel like social media is a gift and a curse because it makes you feel so much pressure. But again, it's an appealing. But if you accept at the end of the day that you can't there's always going to be someone wealthier, someone richer or rich, whatever. So you then just need to be content with where you are. You'll have someone posting, oh, okay, I got a Rolls, like a McLaren, an Aventador, and all these other cars, way more. And you already, if you're not going to be content with what you have, you're constantly stuck in this cycle.
Uh-oh. Guess we just had a connection problem right there. Oh my god, it's connection. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Technical problems. Okay, our guest just left because she had issues with her connection. Let me try and see if we can add her back. See if we can add her back. Let me see if we can add our guest back. She just had a technical problem. Huh. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Okay. I'm so sorry. We just got some technical problems with our guest connection. So yeah, we're just waiting on her to come back. Come back. Okay, guys. It seems our guest had a very serious connection problem, and I cannot seem to add her back. So I will take a screenshot of the questions that you guys sent. There's a question from Yasha, and then there's a question from Drew. I will see if I can get these to her, and yep, we'll see what we can do from there. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you learned something, and have a Merry Christmas. Don't forget to limit your spending and keep everything in check. Bye.